Anybody that listens to the podcast, I think that you guys will know that you get to learn things about different businesses. You get to learn about different individuals that are here. And it's been a lot of fun, because there's so many people I would not know here if it wasn't for doing a podcast, so it's very cool. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys. A couple big thank yous before we start. Thank you to the Vine. Big round of applause to Mike at the Vine and everybody here. Appreciate you guys very much for hosting. And as most of you know, Mike was the first episode that we did. So Mike was my first. We had to start, with Mike to get things done. Jennifer from Jam and Tees, where are you at, Jennifer? Right here. She printed out all the lanyards, put everything together, all the posters, all the signs, everything. Do not think for 1 minute that I did any of that, please. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, so if you haven't taken a picture in front of the little step and repeat thing, please do that, tag us. And I have a note on here to remember that I'm live, not to drop too many F-bombs. Okay? Plus my son's up front, and he'll judge me. He's very judgy. Yes, very judgy. All right. So after I decided that I was going to do a podcast, I walked back from Whitney Street to come to the Vine to talk to Pruitt, and I didn't even get all the way here before I ran into Jody Sinkmars, and she agreed to be a sponsor of the show. We didn't have an episode. We didn't know what the hell we were doing, but she's like, yeah, I'll sponsor it. So thank you. I don't think Jody's here, but thank you very much. Oh, she is. Okay, thank you. But since then, so I'm going to shout out some names of people that are current sponsors of the show, people who have done stuff to make everything go together. And the fun thing is they're like, some of them are short ones, some of them are long ones, but I'll just rattle them off. I see Chris from Barbecue Productions. Chris used to be a hot seat sponsor. Thank you, Chris. Cashmore Financial Group, Bubba, Randy, good to see you, buddy. Nano's that sponsors everything in town, so Nano's always a great part of the team. The Grayslake Park District, Grayslake Rehabilitation Center, wherever Robin's at. Big round of applause, Robin. We couldn't do it without you, honey. JPV Financial, Joe Velez, if you're here, buddy, thank you very much. He's the current hot seat sponsor. Right at Home, Mike Steiner, orthodontic specialist of Lake County. We have the Grayslake Village Center, Jam and Tees, of course. Dr. Johnny Boma, sponsored for a little while. The Grayslake Chamber of Commerce, we're very honored to have them sponsor the show, too. I also saw my buddy Luke out here from Agora. We record almost everything at Agora. Love you, buddy. Thank you so much for doing that. Andy's Records in Inner Haven. So if I forgot anybody else that's on here, but we appreciate. So this is what makes the world go round. It helps us get everybody in, take care of everything, and keeps things moving forward. So as we started doing anything, I think we're not very far in, and then another genius idea, I said, hey, let's make some money for a charity. Why don't we do a bachelor auction? Anybody heard of that? Yeah, like 3 of you, right. Right, don't admit it. There are more guys there than girls, I think, by the way. So bachelor auction was awesome. The cool thing about the bachelor auction, and I want to tell you guys, the fundraising events that we do, we want to make sure that they are someone from our community, somebody that actually lives here. We don't like to, and you guys can, whatever perception people have, you want to give it to a group, you want to give it to we wanted to give it to an individual. So we had our little friend Raphael, who is quadriplegic. He's nonverbal. Dad, unfortunately, was in the hospital. When we came to give him their check, he couldn't even get out of bed. We picked a Grayslake family that really needed everything. And you people here, everybody that made that happen, we gave them $21,000 through the bachelor auction. And that's just a single family that was in need. So everybody that's here, you guys made that happen. We appreciate each and every one of you for coming. And by the way, we're going to do it again this year if you haven't seen. So if you know a bachelor in Grayslake, we only have a couple rules because everybody asks us. What are the rules for bachelors? A, you have to be from Grayslake. What's that? Forget you. So you have to be from Grayslake. You have to be single. You can't be a bachelor from last year, right? Any other rules? Yeah, and not a dirtbag, right? We may have 7 instead of 10, but we're gonna do the best we can with whatever we can. So, bachelor auction 2. So I'm gonna shout out a couple names. Last year's bachelor auction, First Draft helped us out. Grayslake Rehab helped us out. Sinkmars Group, Good American Barber, Newt Partners, Mona Ray, Blush, Jam and Tees, JPV, Emils, and Nano, of course. So those are the people We are looking for a couple more sponsors for this year's bachelor auction, but that information will be all over the place. We might make a ridiculous video or two. I don't know. We might try. So we also, through the time, we tried to bring the community together. Our friends from Dog and Suds are here. So big round of applause for these guys. Jason, thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys. We had a 90s party to try to raise money for that, to help these guys out. We also did an 80s dance party, so we're trying to do stuff that's fun in the community. Everything that we do with the podcast, we're trying to bring people from Grayslake together to have fun, right? Have anybody been to the 80s party, 90s party, anything like that? But more of you need to come. It's fun. It's more than just a normal night out. I think it's really good. So here's some fun stats for you. So as of today when I left the house, and it's weird too, right? There's about 22,000 people in Grayslake approximately, right? So it's very strange that the amount of listeners that we have, we're still a low percentage of, I think, the people that should listen, right? So we've had about 26,500 listens on all the platforms over 100 episodes. So it's about 260-ish listens an episode. And then I had to do some math to make it look a lot cooler, right? So that's about 15,000 minutes a week that people in Grayslake listen to stuff, right? Sounds better, right? So if you take that and the 2,500 listens for minutes-wise, we're at about 1 million minutes that people in Grayslake have listened to over the last year and a half. So about 120 guests altogether. Most of them recorded at Agora. Big shout-out again. And here's a fun stat. So at the end of the year when you do a podcast, you get stats from Spotify that say, holy cow, you are the #1 listener for this many people. Like, people listen to your stuff. So at the first half year that we did everything, I get this thing that says, we are the #1 for 160 people on Spotify. You know what that tells me? Actually, it's not clappable. It's kind of... I thought it was cool, but the really cool thing is that means there's 160 people in Grayslake that never listened to a podcast on Spotify before. So we open their eyes to listen, right? So hopefully people are listening and bring some value. Hopefully business gets something out of it. And the whole thing of it is that I want people to shop at our local businesses because I know you people put your heart and soul into everything that you do. And I feel if people know your backstory and they have an instant connection with you guys, hopefully they're going to shop there rather than going somewhere else. And I think that's what we're here. We're a tight-knit community, guys. So then we did a thing that I never had I never did the winners for. Not that nobody knows that. So most listened episode. Does anybody have any idea who has the most listens on one episode? Who? It is Mike Pruitt, and he was the #1, right? It was the #1 episode. Which says a lot because we just started a podcast right then. So, and here's a couple really fun facts that I like too. I love. Yes.
I just realized too, guys. I failed at my job. Dave wanted me to do one thing, and I totally failed at it. So if you guys if you see these things at the tables or at the bar at the front, there's a QR code. One of the things that helped Dave out, and especially from the businesses that were on there, either help sponsor, donate. That's a way to do it. There's different ways through Zeal, through PayPal, right? Correct? Sure. Yeah, so go on there. Show this guy some support because he is advertising our companies. He's advertising Grayslake. He's doing stuff for the community, helping out other people, so it's time to show him some love. That was my job, and I failed at it, so I just had to come up here and say that.
So like I said, Mike Pruitt is the 10th most listened to episode ever. Here's what I think is really cool and shows a lot about our community and who actually listens. The #2 listened to podcast is the 2023 Grayslake Central High School baseball captains, second in state. So we had the baseball captains on. They're the #2 listened. The funny thing is #3, you can't love this kid anymore. Maddie Jens. Maddie Jens is #3 listen, right? Maddie's fantastic. So you see that those are the kids of these kids are fantastic. And then Troy Whalen was on there to go along with the baseball. And then when we get to a #5-ish thing, we have Miss Mary, Brendan Rafferty, Bridget Blake, the Dance Connection, all of these things. But very interesting to see what happened last week. Did anybody listen to the Sweet Shop episode to find out what's going on in the Sweet Shop? Yeah, they are kicking ass. Everybody in town is listening to find out what's going on there. So hats off to them, because fun new businesses, right? There's so many fun things going on, which also tells me, too, if you guys have somebody that you want to hear on there, please talk to me and let me know. So on the back of your little lanyard, oh, God, I hope I get this right. I think some of them might have a green heart on them. If they have a green heart, I need you guys to come up here. Is that what you got on there? Yes. All right. This is like a police lineup. This is basically what this is. Steve-O. All right. Some of you guys might notice who these guys are, by the way, too. So what we're going to do first here is we'll start from this way and we'll bring it on down. So we're going to Dan Nielsen, iWed Solutions, and if you listen to his podcast, he has the coolest collection of playing cards that I've ever seen in my whole life. It's like all these random facts of people that live in our community, but very, very cool stuff. He's also a magician. So these guys are going to tell us what their favorite episode has been they listened to so far, and hopefully a little bit why. Is that okay?
All right. Hey, we should give Dave a big round of applause first before I start this thing. Yes, thank you very much. Some of my favorites is Craig Rodsmith. What a talented guy that is. I also like Miss Mary from Miss Mary Peppermint Stick, and that's just because it's Miss Mary. She's fantastic. And also the Sweatshop and the Sweet Shop. If you haven't listened to those, that is packed with information, along with every other episode I've ever heard for this thing. They're all fantastic. But what my favorite that goes through all of them is the roller dog question. I laugh every single time on everybody's reaction. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Stephen Mack, and I am episode 90 as school board president for District 46. So as a local elected official, I enjoyed all 99 episodes of your podcast, because that was wonderful, right? I did enjoy Z's episode, because I, too, interviewed her as well for an episode, and it's just a great podcast, and you bring enormous joy to our community by bringing us all together to tell our stories, and that is the most important thing. So thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave.
You know, I don't think I can do that, Dave. But 4 episodes come to mind, and I think Dog and Suds, and the first one with Mike Pruitt, because it's everything that's good about our community. It's the people, and it's the people stepping up for others in town. What's that? Yeah. You know, I wasn't going to say this, but hey, Michael Bolton. If you didn't listen to my episode, if you didn't get that, but that's okay. Sounds like no one did. My favorites, I think Charlotte Renahan in the history of our town. And it just, every time I talk to her or every time I listen, I learn something. And I would say it's a tie, because if you know Maddie Jen's story, that's the future of our town. And I thought that was really cool, too. So it's awesome. Keep up the support for Dave here. It's a wonderful thing you're doing. And I was happy to be a part of it and love Grayslake.
Yeah. Way to go, Randy. I'm Bob Churchill. The business that I have is on the exact end of this street. It took him 80 episodes to find us. We've only been on the corner 122 years, but he finally did come, so thank you for doing that. I've enjoyed so many of the podcasts. I have never listened to a podcast before. I'm one of those people, and I was told about this podcast. Mike Steiner introduced me to it, and I started listening to it as I walk around Grayslake at lunchtime. And I'm up to 78 of the podcasts. I started with one, and I've just worked my way through them. And there's so many people in this community that I've just never known. And a lot of young people, I'm kind of on the old age of things, but there are a lot of young people. I just never knew who any of these people were. And it's so much fun to walk by a store and you see somebody, or you look in a window and you go, oh yeah, I heard that podcast. I mean, it's so nice. I really appreciate it. It's something that I think is a great value to our community to introduce us to each other. It's so wonderful. I particularly like the village officials, our village fathers. Loved listening about Rhett and Elizabeth and Sean and Zoe, I think, was on one I listened to. And I really, really liked the guys who run restaurants. I listened to Mike and Chris Schoenberger and Tom from First Draft. These guys lived through hellacious times when COVID hit, and they survived because of their intelligence and their hard work. And so I am so glad, because this town was dying when I was a little kid, and the restaurants that came into this town brought it back to life. And I really give credit to the restaurants in town, because on a Friday or Saturday night, on a Friday or a Saturday night, you just cannot find a parking spot. People are coming out of Emil's and they're going around the corner of my building there, lined up to get in the restaurant. So thank you for bringing life to this community. My all-time favorite, though, is because I'm a history guy. I studied history. I've been around this town for 4 generations. I know a lot about what's going on. But I learned some things from Charlotte. So I think she's my favorite person, my favorite podcast. So thank you, David. Thank you for doing this. Appreciate it very much.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brian Davies. David, thank you. David, is a very dangerous thing to give me a microphone. I will be brief. And it's been done once, but let's do it again. Dave, you're doing a tremendous job telling the story of our town. And not only is it really cool that it increases the pride we have in our town, but you're supporting our local businesses, which is a backbone of our town, and you're highlighting those who serve our town and give of themselves, and you're giving them a chance to tell their story. So thank you. You're making a difference. Because I'd like to stay married, I love my wife episode. It was tremendous. Thank you. But I will say finally, and I think it's been said already, but it's worth saying again, one of the treasures of our town is our town's history. And it is essential that we continue to tell our town's history and its story. And so Charlotte Renahan, thank you for telling our town's story so well. And thank you for all the work and sacrifice and dedication you've made to ensure that that story continues to get told. Have a great night, everybody.
All right. Thank you. How about a big round of applause for these guys one more time? Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. You know, as these guys make their way back, since Brian was up here, so Elizabeth and I sat down and had a podcast, and I knew Elizabeth was a true politician because I asked her like 20 times to make a decision between whether her favorite color was red or blue, and she liked them both all the time, right? She's fantastic. But Elizabeth said something very important in what these guys say, and I echo it. Elizabeth, we were right around last year around the holidays, and she said, if everybody in this town would buy, there she is. Thank you, Beth. If everybody in this town would buy 3 items for the holidays right here in town, what a difference it would change the face of how everything goes, right? And it seems very simple, and I went out and did it, but if you look for everything, like I saw Bonnie from Bonnie's Chic Boutique. She has something for everybody. So if you haven't been to Bonnie's Chic Boutique, check it out. And if you go down Center Street here, all the way, on each side, there's something you can get. There's something you get for guys. There's something you get for girls, for your kids, everything. And then stop at your local restaurants and have something. So, Beth, you made a very good point of that, and I want to do that, but also on a grander scheme of things. If you live in Grayslake, shop in Grayslake. Keep our money here, right? It makes the world go round. Whether we're going to Dog and Suds, whether we're going to unicycle lessons at Circus Kazoo, like whatever you need, we have most of those things here, right? I look around this room, there's so many extremely talented, great individuals in this room that have so much to offer. So do me a favor, especially this holiday season, as things go on, if you have a choice to buy something in town, or whether it's Amazon or whatever, take the extra time, shop in town, all right? We make a deal, because it just helps everybody out, right? I love that. We have a guest that we're going to call up here, and we're going to talk a little bit with. But before we do that, I want to tell you a couple things coming up. I'm really excited about a couple new episodes that are coming. Next Tuesday, which we'll see you next Tuesday. Yes. Shirts are available for that all over. Nano's the first one to shake her head, so I appreciate you, honey. Tony's Butcher Shop. Sean from Tony's Butcher Shop. Such a cool episode. Listen next week. It's fantastic. It's very, very cool. And after that, it'll be the next week or the next week. It's funny the things that you forget about when you live in town. Popeye from Tops, dog training. Yeah. Seriously awesome. Totally honored that they reached out, because how do we forget about him? But he's a really awesome dude. We were going to do Griff Winters again, but then the police called and said that the one episode was enough. So we're going to be fine until they get down. We are going to host in December. We're going to do, I think I spelled it right on there. It was a Pajama Jammy Jam. Is that what we said? Yes. So we're going to do a Pajama Jammy Jam which is a pajama party for those of you who don't know. So we're going to do that in December on the 11th. It's a Wednesday night. And then, of course, the Bachelor Auction. We're going to bring love to Grayslake on Valentine's Day weekend this year. So if you know a bachelor, have them get a hold of me. Once again, you guys know the rules, especially the dirtbag part. So other than that, get a hold of us. So we would love to have that. So we're going to have a special guest come up here right now. We're going to get another microphone out. If you do me a favor, put your hands together as we welcome Derek Baker from Relish to the microphone, please. Check. Hey, how about a round of who knows who Derek is? Do you guys know who Derek is? Yeah. Derek walked in the room. I was going to leave because everybody's shaking his hand. They didn't want to talk to me anymore. Nice to meet you, brother.
Hello. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
All right. So Derek runs Relish Brand. Obviously, if you've been to the Vine, you see the shirts everywhere, right? Relish Brand is everywhere. Unless you've been under a rock, you've seen the shirts, the hats, everything. But today, first of all, thank you for bringing some beer here. So, good old green leaf of death?
Yes, the good old green leaf of death.
Okay, tell us about that first.
Yeah, so it's a collaboration with Solemn Oath Brewing. And we had this elaborate story put together based off of my first sip of beer that I stole from my dad, underage. But
yes.
That's needless to say. So we came up with a good story about it, so you won't actually die from drinking the beer. It's just a fun name. But good old green leaf of death. It's got a rich Chicago history based loosely off of the old style recipe, but with some modern hops, so you get a little more hoppiness at the end there. And we're going to hand out samples after you're done with your podcast.
Nice. So we'll hurry it up. That's good. You don't hear based off a old style recipe very often.
No. This is probably the first time ever.
Which is awesome. Okay, so if you know Relish Brand, when you talked about beer,
closer.
I was like, okay, I know you from shirts, right? So how did you start Relish?
So I went to school in Chicago, and I was on the search for some nice Chicago merchandise, and I just couldn't find anything that fit my vibe. So as a vibe tech, I had to make it my own.
Vibe tech.
Vibe tech.
Is that a real thing?
It's a made up thing for sure.
Okay. Yeah. I'm a vibe tech too. Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted some cool swag, to dress up to, but also represent the city of Chicago. Couldn't find it, so I decided to make my own. I went to art school in Chicago, and I grew up in Round Lake, but made my home here in Grayslake. And now my business is across the street from Jewel and Ace Hardware.
Yeah.
The 888 building. So that's where we print all the shirts from. It's a clothing brand all based off of Chicago history, sports, art, architecture, food, commercials, everything.
Okay, so if you guys are sports fans like he is, you've had some really cool shirts for our sports teams locally. Tell us about those.
Yeah. Recently did a shirt with the Chicago Blackhawks. We did a Chris Chelios retirement T-shirt that he actually wore, and it was sold at the United Center. It was a pretty good honor.
Yeah, this is a cool post. I saw them wearing that. I'm like, that's
Thanks.
fantastic.
We filmed a video right here down the street. So
Nice.
yeah, we kept it in town.
Nice. Okay, has that ever gotten you in trouble?
We got in a little bit of trouble with the NBA, but we're not talking about that.
But that's it. And didn't you, wait, some Malort and cicadas or something too?
Oh yeah. Well, we didn't get in trouble for that.
No,
but,
not in trouble
But
for
we play into it pretty hard. Yeah.
That's
We love
awesome.
our Malort.
Okay, so you have a background in bartending too.
I do. I grew up in the industry. I paid for my way through college by bartending. I actually met Juan, who's bartending in the back, and Mike, that works usually up here. I don't know where he is tonight. He's slacking.
Yeah, he probably knew I was going to be here and he was out.
Yeah, so met a lot of great people through the bar industry, and it's a brotherhood, really. I can relate to Pruitt, everybody here.
So you've had big time sports stuff, and also I saw a Mr. Beef shirt. Pruitt and I were in the office and we were looking, and I'm like, so you make shirts for Mr. Beef as well?
Yeah. Another thing that just popped up, Mr. Beef, the owner of Mr. Beef Restaurant, reached out to me and wanted to do a collaboration. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Yeah,
That's awesome.
Well, let's go."
Okay, so what is the shirt you made? Like, what did you do to actually break into things so people actually were contacting you to say, we want you to make shirts, whether it's Blackhawks, so it's Mr. Beef. Like, these are big time places you're making shirts for, right? I mean, besides the Vine, there's other big time stuff he's doing too. Portillo's.
Yeah, I also worked with Portillo's last year. We did a collaboration for their 60th anniversary. I'm not sure of one design that maybe have gotten me in. I do have a large collection of designs and artwork, so I think just the full array can entice somebody to look and oh wow, they can do a little bit of everything.
So are you the one doing the artwork?
I am, yeah.
So at the shop, so it's you do the artwork. Obviously, now that you have a bigger operation, you have a lot of people that work there?
We have 3 employees full-time, and I do all the artwork. I have 2 screen printers. We love to screen print for local businesses as well. So if anybody needs shirts for their business, their workers, or just holiday type stuff, yeah, we can do that as well.
It's awesome. Very awesome. Okay, so with the stuff you've done, and you're at a pretty elite level doing stuff for Mr. Beef, Portillo's, sports teams, where do you go from here then?
Oh, that's a good question. I want to just continue down the same track and see where it leads to. Obviously, I didn't plan to work with the Blackhawks, but it happened. I would love to do more for the Bears, the Bulls, the Cubs would be a bucket list, So I don't know. I don't have any dreams. I just want to grow my own brand and see what happens along the way.
Well, it's funny to see what happens when you stay true to what you believe in, right? You're doing fun stuff, you're doing what you believe in, and that's how you probably end up accidentally working for the Blackhawks and stuff, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, how about a big round of applause for Derek? We appreciate him being here. I know it's kind of brief, but I respect your guys' time as well. I appreciate you. And we're going to do some beer samples when we're done with the green, what do we call it?
Good old green leaf of death.
Yes. So you guys are ready for that. So Derek, thank you very much. Appreciate you, buddy. Big time. All right, once again, big round of applause for Derek. All right, so we're going to do one thing before we end. I wanted to get a couple more people involved before we do everything, and I appreciate everybody's patience. Once again, thank you, The Vine, for having us here. Look in the back of your name tag. If you guys have if you have something red behind your thing, I would like you to come up here. I do want to mention why these guys walk up here. If you've listened to the episodes, we'd have every single... Have we? Yeah, so we've had Zoe, Beth, so we've had all of our... Billy Cornett, you're the only guy on that you haven't been on an episode. You're the only trustee, right? And Billy and I talk every year or so, and Billy said he will never be on the podcast. So if you're waiting for Cornett, he'll never do it, right? Yes, until he's ready. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna pass this down here really quick. Actually, Charlotte, we're gonna go ahead and start. Would you like to do this so you can get back there too? I want to know what your favorite episode on the podcast has been. How are you? Because you're like the most popular woman here.
Oh, yes, you are.
You are.
Thank you, Dave. How can you ask a teacher who is most popular? That is not the way to teach children. Now, I can tell you a story or two, but I won't. You'll have to come visit me sometime at the museum. We are open. Let me think now, I'm getting old. I know, we're open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, from noon until 4. Unless, of course, you're really good and go to farmer's market on Saturdays at 10 o'clock. Now, my connection with Dave or the Wool family begins before Dave. Oh, but it's not bad, really. Would you believe that his father painted my house, the outside of my house? Now, I think he was a bachelor at that time, was he? I think it was 3 bachelors, would you believe that, who came to paint my house. But anyway, that's only one of many stories I could tell you. Okay, now, do you want any more from this? It's your stage. You don't know what you're asking for. You don't know. Would you like a dance with an old lady? Okay, now, thank you, Dave. As a hobby historian, you are doing marvelous work in creating oral histories. They are fabulous because, remember, today is tomorrow's history, and every story that he is collecting will be archived for future generations to enjoy and embrace. So please keep supporting Dave. I won't ask his father, though.
Thank you, Charlotte. All right, so we're going to give the microphone to Mike. Mike's over there. Yes, Luke from Agora. And if you haven't been to Agora, if you've listened to any episode, you hear me blah, blah, blah about Agora all the time, right? Yes. But thank you for having me there. Favorite episode?
All right, so my favorite episode, I think it was, might be a tie, but it was Charlotte episode and one of the newer ones with Justin Schlur. I learned so many things in that episode that just blew my mind. So thank you for interviewing people in the community, and thank you for what you do. And I'm going to channel Charlotte and kind of like, I have a story from my mother-in-law. So for those of you that don't know, I married into Grayslake royalty. I'm a Leafblad. So I married Celis Leafblad, and Diane Leafblad was wanting me to tell Dave that his mom is being remembered every time at the Bridge Club, which she loved. And so people are thinking of your family as well, and everybody appreciates what you do for our community. Thank you, Dave.
Appreciate you. Did anybody listen to Amy's episode? I'm going to have her explain about the Sharknado. She just brought me a Christmas ornament that says I'm an Asquatch. If anybody knows anything about me, I like Sasquatch, but... Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay, breathe. Here you go. And then you can tell us.
Okay, hi. My name is Sarah Gallagher. I'm the owner of Alwyn Anthony Salon and the Alwyn Salon Studios in downtown Grayslake. Also, you owe me a dinner for putting me on the spot right now. Okay, I'm very nervous. So Sharknado, that's what we need to explain first. So, who has seen Sharknado? Raise your hand. More? Okay, so maybe take out your notes and put down Sharknado as a movie you should watch. So Sharknado is a movie that is totally wild. It has a cult following. And on our podcast episode, we talked about Sharknado as a wild movie. Yeah, Nano is just nodding her head. It seems to me Nano is the level here. And Sharknado is a wild story for a movie. So basically, during the episode, we talked about how when someone says you have a wild idea or you're extremely out there with your ideas, and for those of you who know me, you know I'm a little wild. So I always think about, like, let's just Sharknado it, right? At one point, when someone was thinking about sharks and a tornado in a movie, there was someone in an office who raised their hand and said, wait, I have an idea. Let's put them together. Sharks, tornado, sharks, let's make a movie. And they did it, and it's a huge, epic following. And I think of that when you think of different concepts for business.
Absolutely.
So when maybe you have a crazy idea and you think it won't be accepted, or maybe you don't feel welcomed in that crazy idea, maybe you should just Sharknado it. And that is the essence of Sharknado.
And you guys thought you were going to learn nothing tonight.
That's right.
Yes. Okay, so how about your favorite episode?
My favorite episode, I have to say, is, I think it's 87. I have to check my thing. All right, I'm 88. So it was 87, which is before me, and it has to do with the Grayslake Chamber of Commerce. It has to do with Summerfest, yeah, which used to be Summer Days, which is now Summer Fest. Let's all say it together. Summer Fest. Perfect. This year, there was something a little different. There was a different flavor. Who came to the fest? Raise your hands again. This is a participating audience. Yes, okay, great. So there was this thing called a Summerfest Den. Yes. I think you attended, and it was my Sharknado idea. And it was this wild, crazy spot where you could just have family gather, and you can take pictures, and you can eat free snacks, and you can play free games, and community came together. And that was my vision. And the chamber let me do it. Thank you, chamber. And I thought it was amazing. And I wish more people knew about it. So guess what? It was such a hit. We're going to do it again, you guys. And guess what? They're giving me twice the space and twice the games. And you all need to be there next year.
If she would just have a little bit of enthusiasm, it would help things out, I think, right? All right, how about a Sharknado? Welcome for Sarah, everybody.
So that was my favorite episode. It was about Summerfest. Great job, Grayslake.
Yes. Yeah, follow that, Eli.
The only way to follow Sharknado is with Sharknado 2, right? Obviously. So I'm Elijah Litcher with the Loop Marketing. I can tell you what my favorite podcast was. I haven't listened to my own because I can't stand the sound of my own voice. So it might be that one if I ever listen to it. But I really liked the one from Nick Rush. I found that, we had, he talks about his family and learning, I don't know if he's here, but he talked about his family and how he learned music from them. There's a really cool story about Prince. And I really enjoyed Miss Santelli's. My kids looked up to her like a hero from Woodview. So those were really good ones. But I'm going to keep mine short. There's a lot of talk about history in Grayslake and, people that have lived here for generations. But my wife and I, with our firstborn, moved here about 10 years ago. And it doesn't seem like that long ago, but to think that I probably know like half of you in this room, and that's a short-ish amount of time as far as the long life arc goes. But it's been such a welcoming community. We have great neighbors. We never once even doubted, for a minute that we made the wrong choice moving here. We love it, and I just want to thank Dave for putting this on. It's been awesome.
And there's certain times you just get kind of nervous when people grab microphones. This is maybe
Do I have
one
the
of
right
those
one?
times.
Are you sure it's me?
Hold on. Yeah, that's you. I don't know how you got this one, but yeah, go ahead.
All right. Good evening, Grayslake. That was horrible. Let's try it again. Good evening, Grayslake. All right, I'm just kidding. I had no idea. I thought it was like a trivia contest, and I studied all day, and I'm like really shocked right now that it's not trivia. So I'm a little disappointed, Dave. Thank you very much. I've known Dave since we moved here. We moved here in 2011. I was a drill instructor. Actually, I wasn't even here yet. My husband and kids moved here, and I was in difficult training in Maryland. And Dave and his awesome family helped my husband out. And not only Dave, but all the community, Sylvie and her mom were one of the first people we met. They helped my kids and my husband out when we first got here because I wasn't here. I was a drill instructor. I'm super nice. I don't know. Don't get any ideas. But I was a drill instructor and I wasn't here yet, and poor Ray had to do everything on his own. So we've been here since 2011, and Grayslake has become a true home to us. I had the chance to move and take our kids to North Carolina, but I decided to retire from the military to make this our forever home because of what it is. You don't get better than Grayslake, period. As you know, in the military, you move all over, and you have all these places you could choose, and this was just a heart and home for us, and we wouldn't be where we are today without all of you here, whether you know it or not. I'm sure you played a part in our lives some way, somehow, somewhere. Our kids grew up. They're both in college. After they retired, or after they went off to college, I said, you know what? You got to show your kids to go for your dreams all the time, right? So I said, I've always wanted to be an antiquer. I've been doing antiques since I was a kid, and I love them, and I always wanted to open my own business, and I was able to do that right here because of you. So thank you. Thank you. I am the redheaded stepchild because I am actually in Haynesville. But I couldn't afford the taxes, but I know that Beth's working on that, so we'll work on that later. We'll talk about that. But if I can get here, I totally will. But my favorite episode is every fucking one. Oh.
We are not going to say fucking on the microphone today.
This is why I was last, right? So every episode is every wonderful one of them. I love all of them. I've learned so much from listening to a couple of them. I haven't gotten through all of them, I'm not going to lie, but I'm just saying mine is the best because it's 79 and that's the best year in the world because that's the year I was born. Unless you ask the Navy, I was born in 88. Okay, anyway. All right, thank you so much, Dave. I love you. I've always loved you. We've been best friends for we haven't been best friends. We hardly talk. We only talk when we need something.
We still have the bracelets, though, so that's fine. Remember that.
Question for you.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so what is the most weird antique that you had in your hands?
Weird? Yes. I won't go through because weird is like it has to deal with something that we do privately at home, but it was very old.
So,
I'm just going to say that was in my hands at one point, and I didn't know what it was, and when I looked it up, I was shocked. But one of the coolest antiques, I think, we'll just let your mind imagine what that was. We'll just let your minds go with that one, and that's in the garbage, not selling it. But one of the coolest ones was antique register that we still have there at the shop. We have an antique register there at the shop. We have really cool items there. We have everything for every age. We also sell local coffee, local honey, local homemade soaps, and local dog treats made all here in Grayslake. So, yeah, but it's not about me. It's about this guy right here and all you. So I just want to say thank you. I only swore once. Woohoo!
Yes, exactly. Okay, so tonight, here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to make sure to have a cocktail for every animal that Christine and Ray have at their home. How many animals do you have?
23.
23 cocktails. My favorite number. All right, thank you guys very much. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Very nice. All right, so let's wrap this up so you guys can hang out and have some fun. I appreciate everybody for coming here. So let's leave here with a couple things to remember, all right? First of all, Derek, thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate you. So let's do this. Let's hang out. We have band coming in at 8. Mike, right? Wherever Mike's at. Is it Rabbit? Is that what it's called? Mallory. So I got all different things. So Mallory will be here. She's going to set up right in the middle here. So appreciate you, Mallory. Grayslake, we love you guys. Hey, do me a favor. If you guys want to support the show, there's little things on there. But do me a favor. Come to the bachelor auction. Come to the pajama party. Keep listening. Tell your friends. Let's just build community and all just stay together, all right? Grayslake, give yourselves a big round of applause. Love you guys. See you soon.